Hey, what's up, you guys? And welcome to another fantastic episode of Sex Talk with T Gray. I am your host, T Gray. We're right here on WEMS Radio. And you all already know I have a dynamic guest in the building with us tonight. It is Mental Health Awareness Month, you guys. So it would be crazy to not dive into that topic before the month is over. I want to make sure that if you all have questions, if you all have concerns, that we're able and we got the right people here to help you. So in the building tonight, mental. Forgive me, y'all. I'm live, but I can make a mistake sometimes. Mental health advocate from Get Home Safe. Juice Jones is in the building. Come on in.
Hey, how are you? Thank you for having me.
I'm
Appreciate you.
sorry for
Appreciate
the
you.
fumble.
No, you're good. You're good. Everyone has a long day. It's really okay. How are you
Listen,
doing
between
today?
trying to say get home safe and mental health, it was
Nah,
too
it's
much
fully
evidence at the
understandable.
same time. So, welcome. Definitely excited to have you here. We both agree that this is a fantastic topic, something that does not get talked about enough.
Mhm.
But before we even get in and jump into it real good, I want you to tell everybody who you are and what Get Home Safe is exactly.
Okay. My name's Juice Jones from DC. Originally Jersey, but I do my work out in DC. Get Home Safe is an organization that I started in about 2019. And from 2019 to present, we've got about 150 folks registered for therapy. The purpose of Get Home Safe is just to bring light to wellness and mental health. So I think in 2019, I did about a little bit under 12 events in DC, Philly, and New York. And what we did was we brought therapists to the function. What I wanted to do was I wanted people to see folks who were black that were therapists in therapy and to be exposed to that and also exposed to what a therapist looks like. And I wanted people to be able to shop for therapists, ask questions, inquire. And I wanted to normalize what the process of getting therapy looks like and what
Mhm.
the community can benefit from when it came to the therapists that I worked with. So the therapists that I've done worked with so far do therapy in each residing state that we've done events in, and
Mhm.
I'm just proud of the work that we've done. From about 2020 with the pandemic and everything else, we switched over more to content creation. So
Mhm.
we've been educating the population when it comes to what's depression, what does it look like, what's anxiety, what does it look like, what's
Mhm.
emotional intelligence, what does that look like, and how could it be implemented, and then also examples and tidbits of what that experience would be like for a person in the middle of experiencing that itself.
Amen, brother. You said a mouthful. Um, but definitely a helpful mouthful. Us being melanated, there's a stigma in our community with getting help, and we're talking to the right people, and we're taking that next step. So definitely salute to you for not only doing that in the DMV but beyond, and creating this platform.
Mhm.
Definitely needed.
Thank you.
Uh,
Appreciate you so much.
so we're going to, you guys, jump right in. I had pulled a couple of things earlier. I know Prophet, this ain't what I'm talking about, what I sent to you in the email, but I had pulled some things and I had posted when I was just kind of doing the promos for this. So I wanted to read what I had posted because I thought it was more than apropos. Just
Hmm.
give me a second to get to it because I'm an old lady. Um, Real quick for you guys who this is a message for the people who feel like they don't need sex or that sex is not a need. And I'm not going to knock you all who feel like that, but I'm going to say that the vast majority of y'all are wrong. Every person has essential human needs. When we don't get those needs met, our mental and sometimes physical health can suffer as a result. When we think of fundamental human needs, food, shelter, water, those things typically do come to mind. However, a healthy sex life is also important component to create a full and happy life. And I know that a lot of people do not agree with that. A lot of people feel as if it's not a necessity. Um, it doesn't do all these things that science has proven that it does. What level of importance do you feel like sex plays in positive mental health, if any?
I think sex is very important when it comes to mental health, especially when it comes to relationships with people. I think, unfortunately, when people think of sex, they only think of relationships with people in terms of we're dating, so where's the sex, or when we get married, there's sex, or if I hook up with someone, there's sex. But not enough people think about the benefit of friends having sex. And I'm not talking about friends with benefits when two
Mm-hmm.
friends have sex and they have
Mm-hmm.
benefits, and
Mm-hmm.
people sometimes forget the friendship in the word friends with benefits and the importance of words. So, like, for example, um, let's stick with the subject of friends with benefits and how important it is to maintain the friendship itself plus the
Mm-hmm.
benefit of sex.
Yeah.
When you hear a lot of stories of people who start friends with benefits, unfortunately, a lot of people have the friendships, then they go into the benefits and they focus on the benefits and they forget about the friendship. So, for
Mm-hmm.
example, most folks I've had sex with, I've made sure that we are either friends or there's a real relationship between us. So there's already a, hey, how's your day going? There's already normalizing the checking in on how the person is handling whatever is going on in their life and having that open conversation. When it comes to the
Mm-hmm.
sex part, there also needs to be a conversation of what is this person looking from when it comes to sex with me and them? What are they not comfortable with?
Mm-hmm.
Because comfort is a very important thing. Sex isn't just two people having sex. It's an
Right.
exchanging of energies. It's exchanging of methods in terms of what are people into. Not everybody's
Mm-hmm.
in a rough sex. Not everybody's in a soft sex. Not everybody's
Right.
into having sex standing up. Not everybody's into having sex sitting down. How important is it to have those conversations of figuring out your person? Because even if you guys aren't dating, that can still be considered your person because of the intimacy that you two share. And there needs to be more open dialogue between people outside of, oh, we're dating so we can have the dialogue. If you're willing to stand naked with someone, and sex isn't just two sexual organs having sex. Sometimes sex is foreplay itself. That's
Mm-hmm.
sex.
Mm-hmm.
Getting head, that is sex. Figuring out one turns a person on, that can be considered sex too, depending on what that does to the person. Because there are some people who do get off from pleasuring folks, and there's some people who get off from receiving pleasure, and how
Mm-hmm.
important that conversation needs to be. Because someone's need is categorized under what health is, because you need that thing, you want that thing. If
Right.
you've gotten used to a certain kind of lifestyle, that's a habit that needs to be fulfilled. So going into new relationships, that's why it's important to talk to folks about what is your sexual experience, what have you had, instead of
Mm-hmm.
that person be intimidated about what they can't give you in terms of what you had. Are they willing to grow into what you need, and do you need that person to grow into what you've had already in those little conversations?
Right. So when it comes to mental health, you
Mm-hmm.
guys, there's so many different facets of it to explore and to dive into. But as it relates to sex, there's like everything else, there's two sides to that coin. There's a good side, there's a bad side.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Sex can definitely shift your mental view of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Some people use sex as a tool in that way to manage and or manipulate a person and their own views or thoughts of themselves. Um, Being able to recognize the difference between when sex is being weaponized, uh, or if you're using it as a crutch, or if you're using it as an escape, or if it's so many different pieces to this puzzle. I swear, you guys, we can't tackle all of them in one show, but
Mm-hmm.
it's so many different pieces of this puzzle. Um, Almost to the point that I really don't even know where I want to begin, you guys. I swear to God, because even as I'm talking, and I got shit written down, believe me, your girl was prepared. But even as I'm talking, and I got these notes, and still my brain is like doing 1,000 things. Because let's start here.
Mm-hmm.
I'll start with me. Okay,
Okay, go ahead.
I'll start with me. I, when I was younger, used sex as a crutch.
Mm-hmm.
It was a power move for me. Um, and so there was a definite shift once I came into adulthood in how I managed my sex life based on how I learned about or how I perceived it in childhood. But how I learned about it and how I perceived it in childhood ultimately kind of shaped a savage. I didn't have a level of respect for it. Um, it was my manipulative go to, and growing from that and learning, hey, this is what you have caused, because it does leave a mental impact on your partner.
Hmm.
Um, and so trying to recognize if that mental impact has ever left on me by somebody else, or feelings of insecurity, or any of these things. Sex, as good as it is something that I think people have to really take care of when it comes to managing their mental health. People
Hmm.
have to really be aware of when the influence, I feel like it's too much one place or the other. Like if I need the sex to feel good about me, there's something wrong there. You know what I mean? Or
Hmm.
if I need it for validation, if I need it to make me feel more secure, or if I get it now I don't feel secure. It's, how do you navigate? I guess what is the advice to a person to navigate those realms and really try to understand the difference between what's the positive and what's the negative when it comes to that?
I think it's very important to take emotional inventory of who you are and what certain things mean to you when it comes to that experience.
Mhm.
So, for example, anyone I've ever had sex with, I've always had discussions with them about my sexual experience and what I would like to give to them if they wanted to be a part of that. Because not everyone has had a positive sexual experience.
Mhm.
Also, before having sex with most folks, I've had conversations on what would be too much for you and how would you like to ask for more if you want more of what's being offered when we are having sex.
Mhm.
So that also comes into boundaries and how you implement boundaries in sex. Most folks, am I allowed to curse on this platform?
You can say whatever you want.
Okay, most folks treat sex like, look, fucking is fucking. And it's like, look, that's cool
Mhm.
if that's who you are and that's how you've been raised and that's how you see it. But there are people who want more. There are people who want you to talk softly to them, talk them through the nut, talk them through the orgasm. There are
Mhm.
certain people who want to have sex and don't want words. They only want sounds and
Yes.
straight motions. And
Yes.
understanding that person's appreciation language, which is the same as a love language, but if people are afraid of the L word because of sex and what it means, let's go with an appreciation language and how they would like to feel when it comes to the concept of
Mhm.
sex and how it's
Mhm.
implemented. So, with someone like you who had the realization of, I was using this to get my way, and now I'm changing it into a different space of, maybe I didn't manage what this thing could have really been to me, and now I'm learning to build that more.
Mhm.
I think it would be really important to go back to your emotional inventory and think of, what did the people you were doing it with mean to you? And does that affect the value of what sex is? And can it be
Mhm.
improved upon? Because at
Mhm.
the end of the day, it's about you and how you feel and how you allow things to make you feel. So for me, I love sex. There's never been a question. Anybody who's been with me, they know what it is. But I've also been with people who didn't have my experience, who it took a lot of time for us to work up to sex. So, for example, my current relationship that I'm in right now, she suffers from fibromyalgia and endometriosis. And
Mhm.
it honestly took us about a whole year of training her body to be able to have sex because of that. When it
Mhm.
came to that relationship, we had to have a lot of jokes if things didn't work out. There had to be a lot of comfort on her part. I had to talk her through, hey, don't feel guilty if we can't do this, because it's still about your experience and getting you there. And we
Mhm.
really had to treat every day a step-by-step process working up to it. And then when we were finally able to have sex, All I could tell her was congrats, because I can't imagine what life would be like being a human and an able-bodied person not being able to handle sex after having sex so many times in my life. Like right now, 33. I'm not going to say how long I've been doing it for because I'm at my parents' house up in New Jersey right now, but I've been doing it for a
Yeah,
minute.
yeah,
And
that's 20 plus years, I feel like.
yeah.
He
And
said,
when it,
I'm not going to say because I'm at my parents' house. Is that where you lost your virginity at your parents' house?
no, no, I lost mine in a very different place that was not here. So when it comes to sex and answering your question, it's really about resetting the value of what something was and what it can be. So for example, it's very important that if you think of sex as a tool,
Mhm.
you're supposed to use the tool. Don't allow the tool to use you.
Yeah.
That's also a part of resetting your value.
Mhm.
If you don't get sex from the person that you want sex from, when you're disappointed, you need to sit with yourself and understand, why am I disappointed? Is it about sex, or is it about not being able to have sex with them? Because if I go out in the
Mm.
streets and I get it, it's going to be sex, but it may not feel the same because you may need emotional connection. They may
Mhm.
have a certain technique that you always look forward to, even coming
Mhm.
down to the point of understanding with, oh, this person's about to come. Let me get quiet so I can hear it happening, and those nuances and things that you look forward to when it comes to sharing a relationship with that kind of person.
So I wanted to today, I put so many things in our description of what we were going to talk about. I wanted to today talk about creating sexual safe spaces.
Hmm.
Definitely want to talk about the correlation with mental health and sex. So for somebody who says, a lot of people don't give into the positive vibes from
Hmm.
sex because you said again, a lot of people it's just fucking for some
Hmm.
people. But the reality of it is, when it comes to mental health, when it comes to being depressed, having anxiety, um, bipolar, ADHD, all these other things, sex actually does help
Hmm.
some of these things.
It
Sex
creates more
does,
endorphins in the body for
of
people.
course, there's so many different hormones that are released that are of the benefit.
Hmm.
So we have a couple of things I'm going to pull up, I'm going to read, and just to tackle just a few of the benefits, and then we're going to after that maybe dive in a little bit to some of the specific diseases and how that really works or
Hmm.
how to handle. And I want to go there because I have family members who are schizophrenic, severe bipolar,
Hmm.
and I've seen how, because of the medications, either they weren't able to perform or they
Hmm.
overperform. And
Hmm.
like, how do you tackle that? But first, let's get into some of these benefits. Prophet got a couple of things up here. I'm just going to read through them, and we'll go from there.
Okay, I'm here for it.
Okay. So first, you guys, sex boosts serotonin, which helps to improve your mood and fight off depression. Additionally, one of the hormones released during orgasm is serotonin, leaving you feeling soothed from stress and anxiety. So I know a lot of people go home and have them a little angry sex, had a hard day.
Hmm.
Okay, you want to get in there, you want to tear it up. According to the studies, it works.
Hmm. Hmm.
It works. It works for that. But would you feel or would you say that sex for some is a cure all?
There are people who believe sex is a cure-all, but it isn't. It's a step in the right direction, but as much as you're fucking and sucking, it's important to have the conversations on where the frustration's coming from.
Mm-hmm.
Because us as humans, when we have something that is an issue for us, or we have this nagging thing that's at the back of our mind that we're trying to fuck through,
Mm-hmm.
we all have a limit on how long you can have sex for. Period.
Yeah.
We all have a limit on, if you're done having a sex with someone, how many nuts you can catch by yourself when that person's gone. So
Mm.
at the end of the day, we are all going to have quiet time with ourselves. So what are you doing with that quiet time after the sex? Are you writing in a journal? Do you have a friend that you pick up the phone to have a chat if the person you're having sex with isn't the person you have to talk to? Do you have a therapist? If you don't have a therapist, do you have a good friend who allows you and makes space for you to have those talks? Because not all our friends deserve what's going on in our minds. You feel what I'm saying? There are certain relationships that are, I love going out with this person. They're always a bundle of joy. That's what I look forward to. We have certain friendships where it's just like, I like that homebody. We could have a bottle of wine. We could chill with some whiskey and just chill out and rap for a bit. But after the sex and the feel good, where does the conversation start? And not every conversation has to have an end also. Sometimes we need conversations or moments of reflection to identify what the issue may be, and we don't always need the answers. So as much as sex can be used to help us work through certain things, sex isn't always the solution, because what you find is there are people who use sex that way, and then they've been doing it for days, months, years, decades, and then they're like, I fucked so much, why don't I have a solution yet? And I've done it with so many people, but when am I gonna have the answer and the relief that I deserve? And for folks like that, I tell them take their time. Not everyone's gonna be me who has gotten closer to the answers and the experience and had those realizations. And not everybody's gonna agree with my opinion, and that's fine, but it is good to have that opinion out there so people can see a different example of a thought process that may apply to them and may help them out when they do get there. That's why shows like what you do is very important.
Interesting thought that when you are out there in that way, that you're searching for something. So whatever it is that all you thoughts are looking for, I hope you find it. I hope you find it. Y'all hoes, hope you find what you're looking for. It's like, no.
Yeah. And it's okay to be a thought in a relationship. It's very easy to be a thought in a relationship.
You have to be accepting of who you are.
And the person you do it with.
Boy, I have told so many people before I even started this show, I always talk to people about accepting their shit. Like, it's okay to live in it. Wallow, get that shit around you, wrap it up like a blanket, because who else is going to be okay with you? Whether your decisions are sound or not sound based on what society calls sound.
Yeah.
You're the one who has to live the life. So, especially as it relates to sex, if you're going to be out here, there, and everywhere, you have to get up and look in the mirror with you and be okay with that. And if you are, then kudos to you. If not, you need to kind of figure out what's happening on the inside that dictates the behavior. You know what I mean? I think so many times some people overlook what's going on with them mentally, emotionally, and how they use sex to fix. They use sex to fill a void. It's a hole here or a hole here, and the sex is that you're not just penetrating that hole. These are the holes that you're technically filling, but is it really doing anything?
And not all bandages heal.
Yeah. But I digress, you guys. Throw up the next one, Prophet. Is he there? So this is a quick joke. Good sex, great, you guys, leads to better sleep. I know, because if I get it good, that's where I'm going. Sex also improves how you sleep. It's very common to fall asleep after sex because your body releases prolactin, a hormone that helps you feel rested and relaxed. The orgasm also releases oxytocin, one of my favorite hormones, a hormone that promotes sleep. Since a lack of sleep can worsen a mental health disorder or increase your risk of developing one, better sleep promotes a healthier, more refreshed you. So for those of you who aren't successfully busting these nuts before bed, okay, here's a fine example as to why you should. So fine example. Okay. For those of you who have not learned or have not begun to engage in masturbation, or you're still at a phase of learning your body, why not? It's Mental Health Awareness Month. Why not take this month to just add a little masturbation in your day, you guys? You never know. Sleep
Mhm.
good, little good sleep fixes everything. I uh sleep horribly. I sleep horribly, y'all.
Really?
I
That's
do.
unfortunate.
It is. But if I bust,
Hmm.
bruh, fuck that. 8 hours. 8 hours. Okay.
Are you a high nut person or low nut person? Like the amount of nuts you can have in a day is like on the
So it
higher end, or do you just have a limit where it's like, look, once I get there, I can't go past that point?
so that is such a it's totally dependent upon the experience.
Okay.
Um
Okay.
Now if I masturbate,
Hmm.
and let's just say I'm one of those people, like if I get up in the morning, I just want to have a good day. Like
Hmm.
before I go to work. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? That's like, let me just because now it's a tool. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Let me
Hmm.
just get this out my system because I know that I need it. Let me stay calm. If it's a time when I am focused and I want more intimacy with me,
Hmm.
I could 2 to 3 times. But if I have the right partner, I bottomed out maybe at between 15 to 20 ejaculations in a session.
Okay, within a session. Okay.
Yeah, within a session.
Um.
But that is not all the same. That is like I may have had a couple of orgasms. I may have squirted about 12 times and then the
Hmm.
rest I just, I came. It's different from me. Women we can ejaculate 6 different ways. A lot of people don't know we have these different spots, but
Hmm.
yeah, about 15 to 20 with the right partner.
Hmm.
And I'm not saying that if I come less than that, that's the wrong partner. I'm not saying that, but
Hmm.
yeah, it my
Chemistry is still
highs.
chemistry, regardless.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, DP Johnson checking in. What's up, pretty girl? Um, Definitely dependent upon who my partner is, and
Hmm.
me included, whether I'm my partner or a person. If indefinitely, I cannot yield the same result that if I have a human body.
Hmm.
I cannot.
Yeah.
I cannot. And
Yeah.
and I'm not gonna act like I haven't tried, y'all. God damn it, I
No, that's
have.
real. That's real. That's real.
I
I
have.
had
I can't
a
recreate it.
conversation with one of my partners about this because she was telling me that like sex with me is just so different from doing it with herself. And I was
Mhm.
like, what do you mean in that sense? She was like, my orgasms are way more intense. It's heightened to a level I just can't do it for myself. And I was like, man, that's probably so frustrating. I was like, what about toys? Do they work? She was like, they get me there, but not like how you do it. So I was
Hmm.
trying to like walk her through it, make some suggestions. And she was like, it just doesn't compare to the experience of me with her. And I was like, damn, that's unfortunate because like I really do hope people are able to give themselves that experience, whether I'm there or not. But when they are there, I am
Yeah.
about like, all right, well, since you're here, what we gonna do? How would you like to do it? What's too much for you? Like, I've had women who I've done it with where there were so many orgasms that like she's like, okay, enough, and I was like, all right, bet, cool.
But
We got
I'm gonna
there.
be
We know
quite
that's your
honest.
limit.
I don't think that
Hmm.
masturbation is meant to be like sex with another person.
Hmm.
That's why it has a whole nother name. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? I don't think it's meant to be. I don't think that we are meant to experience or feel the same thing that we should feel when we have another person present, especially as it relates to heterosexual sex. Um, even if even if I got a dildo that is the same size, shape,
Hmm.
girth, vein. You can go put a cast on this motherfucker and
Hmm.
bring it to me. I'm not going to feel the same way.
Yeah.
Now, will I still penetrate? Yes. Will it still be wet? Of course. Am I still gonna come? Oh, yeah.
Hmm.
But the heat that you feel from a person, and I don't care if you give me a
Yeah. That
glass or
body
you
heat is
warm it up,
different.
it doesn't
Yeah.
matter. The actual throbbing of the vein not going to happen. The way
Hmm.
your balls slap my asshole, can't recollect that.
Hmm.
I just The when you get into the groove, and I'm not a dude, but I can only assume
Mm-hmm.
when you're inside of a woman, and no offense to you all who are her non-heterosexual listening to this, but y'all get what I'm saying. Make it apply. When you get grooves, you're in these curves,
Mm-hmm.
you're in these spots, you're tapping on the G spot, the O spot, the C spot, and you get in those reactions. As a woman who masturbates, if I go in there,
Mm-hmm.
my navigation is not the same. The
Yeah.
good Lord bless the penis with GPS. Okay. Okay. He
The
did. It's
good Lord. The
global
good Lord.
pussy something. God,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what the S is for, but the good Lord did bless the penis with navigation.
Mm-hmm.
And when he gets in there, especially with the proper teacher, if he gets in there, is it's not places that I can find
Mm-hmm.
no matter what mechanism I have.
Yeah.
I can't do it. I wouldn't care if you were there and I take and put you in me myself. I can't move it where these spots are. I can't like now maybe the G spot, maybe if I prop myself up, we on the
Mm-hmm.
little wedge, you might could be still I could do it by myself.
Mm-hmm.
But in the grand scheme, I
Yeah.
feel like we weren't created to be that way. We
Yeah.
weren't created to have the feeling or have the notion of other people when we're alone. That's I don't think so. And I don't know who started masturbating first. I don't know where it came from. I can't remember if it's um in the good book, yay, nay, not. I know a lot
In
of
the
people
good book.
in the good book. I know a lot of people who are religious find it, vulgar, nasty, and I'm sure that they use a scripture to support it.
Mm-hmm.
But and that's another thing, really, you guys, just for mental health and just religion plays such a big role in how you view sex, how you view your body, how you view yourself. And it can kind of really give you a warped perception. But
Mm-hmm.
I digress. But I don't think that we're meant to feel that. Like, not taking nothing away from old girl, but she's not supposed to feel the way you make her feel.
Yeah,
She's
no,
not.
most definitely.
Yeah,
Most
she's not.
definitely. And I mean, even on the religion point, I said it to her, I was like, look, if they tell you God is everywhere at all times, that means when we having sex and we being nasty, God's there. When you're cursing, God's there. When you're not doing anything, God's there. When you take a shower, God's there.
Mhm.
So if God is supposed to be in all these places and all of a sudden God isn't supposed to be around when we're having sex, but only when we're making babies, doesn't that seem a little bit too construed and in a box? That doesn't make
Mhm.
sense. If
Mhm.
he's everywhere, he's everywhere.
Yeah,
He made us to do the things that we do. So we might as well enjoy it to its fullest and be respectable with the people within our lives with it.
definitely. So one thing that I did want to get into tonight was creating a safe sexual space.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to mental health, how do we do that? If I'm a person who I could have any one of these diseases, what have you, but say I'm controlled, I'm medicated,
Mm-hmm.
um, how do I create a safe space for me to be able to engage in sex? Is there a routine? Is there a way, or is there a guideline for creating a safe sexual space to protect my mental health?
Well, I think what's most important is there trust in the room that you're about to do whatever you're about to do in. It always starts with that. Because if you say no, that's enough, hopefully the person you're doing with respects that and stops, even if they're having a good time, even if they're about to climax. They are
Mhm,
willing to sacrifice the nut in their moment for you emotionally as a person and value in terms of who you are.
mhm,
Creating a safe space is about when you tell people no, that no is respected. And if
mhm,
they're willing to go back and have a discussion on what happened, that's also important. Sometimes a lot of folks just take no for no, and not enough folks follow up to say, hey, are you okay? What happened? How did we get to that point? Are there other ways you can let me know when that is coming? Because a safe space is about both people's emotions being protected, but sometimes not everybody's always going to be on the same wavelength.
mhm,
And I'm not talking
mhm,
about only in relationships with people in terms of dating. Sometimes I'm talking about just casually doing it with someone, even if it's a one off. because
Mhm.
people who have sex with other people, there's this imagination of what is that experience like with this person. And unfortunately, people try to line up their fantasies with what's actually happening in front of them. But reality isn't going to change just because you've been fantasizing about it all your life. So
Mhm.
making those safe spaces are having the conversations with people on what they do and do not like. Having a safe space is creating that trust between you and that person.
Mhm.
Having the safe spaces, having the conversation on if you do have something, letting the person know, I do have something, this is how it's being treated. Are you okay with that? And it's also coming to terms with yourself of, am I going to be willing to be honest with these people about what I have and what I am going through before sex happens, if that's who
Mhm.
you are, and that conditioning of allowing yourself to live that truth. It's
So
layers.
definitely, definitely. Um, Before we started,
Hmm.
you said, people very rarely talk about sex and mental health and
Hmm.
just how important it was. But to kind of tell the audience, why do you think that conversation is important?
Sex is in everything. Sex is in marketing. Like, you know how many Pepsi and Coca-Cola and car commercials have
Did the
had a,
cartoons?
yeah, even
You ain't gotta
cartoons
go that
had
far.
a woman that was like gripping a chair, a fast BMW car hitting the curb. All of a sudden, you're seeing goosebumps. That's excitement. A
Yeah.
Coca-Cola commercial with the right model that you've had these thoughts about. That's like, look, if they drink it, you drink it, and the thought process that goes into certain things.
Mhm.
Arby, we have the meats, and all the jokes that have come from that.
Mhm.
McDonald's, ba da ba ba ba. Shout out to Pusher T and how much marketing has gone into that. Where we see their marketing more to Black people, but before, sex has been in just about every single product that was pushed, and now
Mhm.
we've caught up to the marketing. But I wouldn't say the damage is done, but we have been influenced by sex in so many layers because,
Mhm.
as you and I know, sex sells, and we all
Yes.
know this. So it's
Yes.
important to have the conversation about sex and the importance of healthy sex and having boundaries with people, because before we've had the conversations or we've wanted to do sex with people, we are
Mhm.
thinking about sex way before we're actually doing sex with people, regardless.
So, which do you feel has more impact? Do you think your own mental health has more impact on your sex life, or your sex life has more impact on your mental health?
I think my mental health has more impact on my sex life, quite honestly.
Mhm.
Before starting Get Home Safe, I had lost the love of my life to depression and anxiety. And
Mhm.
there was like a year to almost 2 years where I didn't want to touch anybody. I didn't want to be touched. I didn't
Mhm.
want to have a conversation. I didn't I didn't even want to think about what it would be like to be with someone else. So
Mm.
when you have that spirit and that mentality, your body is going to follow the purpose of, nah, I'm good. I've had enough sex. I've had a good life. I've enjoyed the things life has to offer. I don't need to do this to feel good,
Mhm.
because you are so tied into that person. And that's a mental health thing, because
Mhm.
you
Mhm.
associate your joy and happiness with this person. So you really have to take steps back and understand, if you're attractive or people are attracted to you, they're going to want to have sex with you. So
Very
if you
much.
want to let these people in your life, or these people just want to be around you because you're such a quote unquote great person, or what they consider great, then that means you may have to start sitting down with yourself and working towards, what would life with another person be like, or what would literally just sex with another person be like, and how much time do you need? What are your steps going to have to be? Are you going
Mhm.
to allow yourself to experiment with people, even knowing, hey, my shit might not work like I need it to, but are you willing to put yourself out there and experience disappointment until you get it right? And folks,
Mhm.
be okay with that and have those
Mhm.
conversations if need be. Like,
Mhm.
look, I know you want to fuck with the boy and all this other stuff, but I've gone through some things. I might
Yeah.
not be him. I might not be the
Yeah.
him you've thought about. And really being honest with folks about not being that person. I could catch up to that person. I could become that person. I could be nastier than that person. But if I'm not that person right now, you do have to be upfront with the right folks, not with everybody, because not everybody's going to get you. And that's only for folks that are willing to make that space and want to hear the conversation. Because sometimes people just want to suck your dick. Sometimes people just want you to eat pussy. Sometimes people just want to have those little moments and keep it moving. Not everybody wants the heavy conversation. But for folks who do want to make time for you, for folks who do want to make that space to have the convo, if they offer it, take it if you feel they're trustworthy. But if they don't offer it, don't force it, because there's a fine line between I should be honest with these folks and emotionally dumping before getting anything started.
So you have spoken a lot about the experience in being with you. And I don't know. I know a lot of dudes have a lot of conversations. I probably one hand can count how many men have said something to that effect about it being an experience. I want to know why that word, why you choose that word. Why is that important? And then I'll save the rest. No, I ask you that first. Why that word? And why is that word important in you describing your sexual prowess?
I use the word experience because I have had a lot of conversations with a lot of women and a lot of men on how sex has been for them. And I realized that growing up, we were treating sex as a finish line, and we weren't thinking enough about the process of what happened leading up to sex and how that may have made a difference in people's lives or their experiences when they did it and who they did it with. So sometimes folks have this association of, when I had sex with this one person, it was always amazing, all this other stuff. And it's like, well, did you think about the pancakes that they always used to cook you in the morning and how that made you feel? Did you think about you rubbing their back leading up to sex? Did you think about them hiking it up just a little bit, trapping you, knowing, yo, what's up? This is how it's going down, and how those little moments made you feel leading up to sex. So when I talk about the experience of sex, I'm talking about sex itself, but the process that leads up to sex with those people, the cues that you look forward to, those moments that you may have had made jokes about 9 months ago, and now that's your thing. And that's your thing that you share with that person. Like, folks who I date, when they ask me about who I've been with or what we've done, I tell them, that's cool if you want to know, but like, please don't compare your experience with me to what they've had. That's very important, because I'm not that same person. I was a different person back then. But do know that when I do give you the review on me and what it is that I do, that review is, that's what they told me. That review is, this is how they told me I made them feel and what we accomplished. There were a lot of women who I had sex with who weren't squirters. There were some who were squirters. That was crazy. There were some women who, when we had sex, I would ask them, hey, did you come? And if they said no, I'd be like, all right, that's cool. We can get it next time. Sometimes you don't have to make that a big deal, but you have to keep that in mind on, did you please that person? Are they okay with not being pleased? Sometimes they just want to have sex with you, and that's okay, and being okay with that. There's women I've had sex with who can come from 4 different places. Their vagina, their clitoris, their ass, and their nipples. And I was like, wow, this is 4 opportunities to get it right. I don't know if I've ever had that before. And like, that to me is fascinating, because you don't have to give them all of it. Sometimes they just want very specific things, and you be that person. And I'm very proud at the fact that folks who have done it with me, or vice versa, they get to take that experience to other people with them, and they get to share that with other folks. Like, even if we didn't work out, did we have a good experience when we were together? And that's like very important, because it's not just accomplishing sex itself. It is about the relationship, or supposed to be about the relationships. And that's why I tell, anyway, that's why I tell folks, it's not always about sex. It's about the experience. And that's like the best way to answer that question.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was the most politically correct way to bust that shit down. Yes, it was. That's the best way to answer that question. Yeah. Hell yeah. Answered it so well, I forgot what my follow up was. Yeah.
Well, what I will say though is I do think the word experience is a word that has been used quite a bit too much within the past 2 years also.
Okay.
Like when I remember when the word mental health was that became a buzzword,
Yeah.
wellness became a buzzword, experience became a buzzword, implementation that's also become a buzzword as of recent the last 6 months. And when I see these buzzwords, I actually sometimes hit up my folks who I do work with when it comes to the therapists and the people I do work with. I'm like, hey, just to let you know, if you see this word in a commercial, it's a buzzword now, so this is the heads up. Because within that community, when you're really about it and this is what we do, you feel some type of way when you see the word mental health being used, but the topic and what everyone's talking about is actually not really related to mental health at all, and people are just using it to get the clicks. But at the end of the day, are you bringing people value? Are you
Mhm.
giving them a difference or a different
Mhm.
thought? And or are you bringing awareness? Because not everyone's here for the solution. Sometimes
Mhm.
people would like the awareness. There are some
Yeah.
people who show up for the solution, and sometimes there's people who show up just to know, okay, I'm not alone in this. There are more people who are concerned with this.
So for you, because
Hmm.
I feel like we've really dived in on you this evening. It's been fun. What does sex do for your mental health when you walk away from these experiences with these women, whether they're
Hmm.
pleased or not? What do you walk away with for you?
Mm, I walk away with a smile. The world's a very I just said this to someone last night because I actually had an interview for Black Men Cry 2 yesterday up in New York.
Mhm.
And I told the young lady who runs that cat that life is a short place, but love is such a big word.
Mhm.
So I had this one experience with this young lady who we ended up in flames. She hates me now, and that's fine. People are supposed to hate you in life, so it's really okay. And we broke up and we became friends with benefits,
Mhm.
and me not saying I love you to her when we weren't together was what made her think we shouldn't be in a relationship anymore because he didn't love me back when we weren't together. But the way I was
Mhm.
raised as a man was you shouldn't say I love you to everyone if that's not the space that you're in.
Mhm.
Because love
Very
has
true.
meanings. There's
Yeah.
two things that have meaning: the word love and best friends. A lot of folks, they'll call a whole bunch of people best friends, but the word best friend is a very heavy word. Best friend means that person's going to be there for you. Best friend means when shit hits the fan, you hand me toilet paper because we both got this. You
Yeah.
feel what I'm saying? And the
Yeah.
word love is the same way. So there's relationships that I've had great sex with people and we've done it for like 5 years. And because of mishaps like that, everything was destroyed. And of course, there was more to the story than just that. It wasn't just that, but
Of
that
course.
was very important. So I think I'm lucky and blessed to have not had a negative sexual experience per se
Mhm.
when I think
Mhm.
about it. But
Mhm.
to me, also, sex has had great meaning in my life.
Mhm.
It's you can have kids.
Yeah.
I don't have any kids yet, but you can have a kid. Sex brought me into this world. I know for my mom, there was a sister that I had before me, and I take value in knowing that I made it and she was able to love me as a son and how important that is.
Mhm.
I think of how people do use sex to get through the stress and how important that is,
Mhm.
but also that sex can mean so many different things for so many people, and there are parts that we get to play in sex with different people, and it's okay to not take it personally when you don't accomplish the thing that we imagine. I think it's very important to readjust your expectations of people and sex
Mhm.
itself
Mhm.
and what that may mean for different people, because just because both of you guys say the same thing doesn't mean you guys mean the same thing, even if you said the same thing in the words.
Right. So DP Johnson chimed in with a question. She says, love has different meanings, though. Did
Hmm.
you not love them at all, or were you just not in love with them? And I think she's referring to the young lady you were just talking about who.
It's not that I didn't love them at all. I was
Mhm.
afraid that saying I love you back to them at that time would add an unnecessary weight to us being friends with benefits, and not really sure if we would get back with each other. Because in my young mind at that time, I was like 21, 22. I was like, we've been having sex for about 2.5 years. We broke up, but we're still on the same sexual schedule. So there was like a gray area of where we were in terms of
Mhm.
individually who we were as people. And
Mhm.
that one time that she said, I love you, was like right after sex. And I was just like, why now? We've
Mhm.
said I love you a whole bunch of times when we were dating. We broke up. It was like 6 months into us still being sex with benefits and still being friends.
Mhm.
But the word love, it felt it would have been wrong to say I love you to someone who, yes, we're having sex and she trusts me and I trust her.
Mhm.
But what if she wants the relationship back and she's not standing for it? And then I say I love you back and she go home feeling, damn, if you love me back, why can't I just be your girlfriend again?
Yeah.
You get what I'm
So,
saying? Like,
yeah.
why are you putting me through this? Why are we putting each other through this? And that's where my mindset was.
That's a
Um,
very interesting time, though. I feel
mhm,
like that's like the worst bag to pull in a bag of tricks is
mhm,
to, in that space and in that time,
mhm.
say, I love you.
Yeah. Give
And
me
then,
1 second. I'm listening. I gotta just plug my phone up because it's on
you know, because
10%.
then the expectation is so massive. And men and women do this, you guys. So definitely not picking on her or by no means, because I've had this happen to me. I've had men say this to me in that space and in that time once we finish. And it's like, I don't want to let you down, but I don't want to lie to you either.
Hmm.
And I've always felt like, how dare you do this in that moment? How dare you take advantage of this in that moment? And that's my selfishness, you guys. I'm gonna go ahead and say that was T Gray being selfish in that moment. It's how dare you take this moment? We just got finished slapping these cheeks. I just rocked your world. You just rocked mine. How dare you take this time to tell me that you love me? Like, especially if I don't love you back. Like,
Hmm.
this is what you want to walk away with, because what if I don't? What
Hmm.
if I don't want to say it? What if I
Yeah.
don't feel it? And so now, whatever high we were on, because again, we just talked about all these great hormones we just released, whatever high I'm on, whatever high you're on, now here we are brought down. Now, here you are second guessing yourself. Now, here's when you come back to where sex may play into your mental health in a negative way, because now you've walked away questioning, am I man enough? Am I this? Am I that?
Hmm. Hmm.
Was I not enough?
Yeah.
Now your insecurities are being plagued. Now you running back through every relationship you had, and well, she loved me, but this one didn't, and why don't you? And how do you navigate that? I feel like that is such um mental play when you say that in that time. I feel like, and I'm not saying that love doesn't belong in the bed.
Hmm.
Y'all don't go start tripping. But
Hmm.
I really think that the conversation of if we love or who loves who, I think that conversation needs to happen outside the bedroom.
Hmm.
I think the conversation needs to happen fully dressed. I
Hmm.
don't think you need to be knee deep in this pussy and then, oh, you love me now. No, don't love me now. Love me when this shit is bone dry
Hmm.
and I'm busted and my
Yep.
butt stank and
Yep.
I, you know what I mean? Let me in.
Yeah.
And so that you know what I mean? I think that we get so overwhelmed sometimes, and we put emotions into sex. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't. I'm saying that we should be more accountable.
Because emotions are a part of everything. So
Right. I think that
accountability
we
is
should
so
be
key.
accountable.
Hmm.
And then, yeah, and DP is tapping in like a mug right now because it
Yeah.
does get blurred.
Yeah.
It does get blurred. Look, she said, tell me after the blood comes back to your head. Amen. Amen. Because after I bust, what? Like, I'm gonna be quite honest with you. It's a few
Hmm.
things T Gray don't like after sex. I don't like the post sex questions.
Hmm.
I don't want your review right now. I'm not a movie.
Yeah.
I don't want your 20 questions. I don't want you to be, unless we're in a relationship and we know we love each other before we start. Don't tell me, don't let that be the first time. Like,
Hmm.
no, I need to have a clear frame of reference and thinking. And I know a lot of people use their body parts to manipulate. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
so
Most
good, I'm gonna
definitely,
make
they
you
use
fall
it
in
to get
love.
their way,
It's
and
so
sometimes,
good, I'm gonna have you
unfortunately,
digmatized.
that
It's
devalues sex
2022,
whenever it
y'all. We up
is.
out of there.
Yeah.
It's what we done with that. One thing that I'm doing for 2022, and I'm gonna rock out with you with this. This is gonna be our last thing because uh Mr. Experience over here, you guys over here turning bitches out at 33. I don't know what you're gonna be like at 43, bro.
It's all love. I'm just glad I could be a
Listen,
part of it, quite
but
honestly.
even though you've been having sex for a while, you're still new to the game. And we
Hmm.
are tackling our sexual bucket list for 2022, what we want to do before we get up out of here. So give me a couple of things you would put on your sexual bucket list.
Mm.
Ooh, and then add how they would affect your mental health. Boom.
Um, Damn, that's a good question. My mom's right at the top of the staircase, so this is actually funny. For the bucket list question. Um,
Is she listening?
I
Mama
mean, yo,
probably
she got
got
good
one.
ears. I'm in a Jamaican family. We all
Wish she
got
got
good
on her
ears
bucket
around the
list. I
household.
see all that liquor back there. I know she
Yeah.
in
Oh
there
yeah, no,
pants.
that's my dad's stash. That's his whole setup. Very beautiful stash at all times. But so I think one of the things I've always wanted to do sex wise is, so I've eaten ass before. I've eaten a lot of ass. That's never been like a question. I think I've always wanted to have sex with someone with a butt plug. That always sounds fun. But like what it does to the person, are they comfortable with it? And like how long would that work for them? What's the optimal position for them? It sounds simple, but it's like,
So a little DP action.
yeah,
No
yeah,
pun
yeah,
intended,
yeah.
DP.
You said what?
The
Hmm.
person who was chatting is DP Johnson. And
Hmm.
so when you said that, I said a little DP action,
Oh
but
yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm
no
always
pun
about that.
intended.
And what's funny is who I'm with now, they were telling me, they were like, how are you so good with your hands? And I told them, I was like, as a football player, I had to like do tryouts for the NFL, CFL, and Arena Football League for about like 7 years out of my life. So like in the football training, you have to be very aware of your hands, like down to the fingertips, your wrist movement, everything else. And ironically enough, that translated into the bedroom. So for me, it's
Oh
like
wow.
I'm more of the focus on, hey, the person you're sleeping with, are you making them come and are they satisfied? And the people who I do it with are the same way with me too. But like, because of that, my conditioning is different. So I tell them, hey,
Mm.
if you didn't get me there, it's not personal, it's not you. My setting's just different. Like, I could
Mm.
bench press 500 pounds easy because of the training and everything that I've done. So it's like,
Mhm.
you do have to take your time and understand everything you've done to yourself sexually does put you on a certain adjustment compared to the people that come into your life, and having
Mm.
that understanding with people. So I'd say like definitely some DP action. I have no issue with buying people toys. I love sitting down and shopping with folks on like, what toys do you like? What size is manageable for you? Why do you want a certain toy? That's something that I want to get back to a little bit more. But I bought
Excuse
4
me.
toys for my current relationship. So like I feel like for this year that's a good enough number. And also
Mhm.
like, do they have fun with that too? I think another thing on my bucket list would just be fucking in a couple other countries. Like, always wanted to go to Paris. I know Paris is just like a different New York, just in French. That's always funny to me. So
Mhm.
want to go out there. St. John's. I went to St. John's to teach some kids hip hop dancing, but I've never been to like the resort and everything else. That's like a lifestyle I'd want to enjoy. And then like just having more discussions. There's something you could always learn from the people that you do it with. And it's
Yes.
so important to not only have the discussion but make it light. Like, the discussion around sex shouldn't have to be heavy, and you shouldn't have to work towards it, but you do need to make light of the thing that you plan on enjoying in this part of the life that you are with the person and the people that you do it with.
All righty. So DP says, my hype on sex is the person themselves,
Hmm.
where they are in life, so I can increase the experiences.
Yeah.
I know that's right.
Yeah.
So, you guys, I know this hour has gone by so fast. And I feel like we jumped around so much. I want to bring you back because there's so many things that we did not get into. But if
Mhm.
you missed it, run this shit back, you guys. Hop on that YouTube, click the like, click the subscribe, share it with a couple of people. Um, we're talking sex and mental health. We talked about creating a safe sexual space for you with your mental health. We even chopped up your girl a little bit about how I've grown. Okay.
Mhm.
We
Mhm.
talked
Mhm.
about
And
the
it
good
looks good on
things.
you too. The growth looks good. The growth looks
Yes,
good on
thank
you.
you. And we talked about the good things, the positive
Mhm.
side of sex and what it can do for your mental health. Um, I did want to dive in a little bit more to specific disease. Yeah, we're gonna come back. I'm gonna tell you that right there. We're gonna have to. We're gonna have to because, like I said, I have seen what people experience with their medications and it taking them to these
Mhm.
highs and their lows, and then how do they
Mhm.
manage? Like it's
And
it's
that's so
it's so
important.
hard.
That's
It
so
is. It's so
important.
hard,
Yeah,
and
so
I'm sure it
important.
can be scary.
Yeah.
For
Like
some.
like for example, if let's say you're on medication that makes you as a man inept and your dick can't get hard, that don't mean your dick still don't feel something. Are you okay with that? How do you get your partner off? How have you
Mhm,
explored their body enough?
mhm,
Like, do you
mhm,
see sex as one lane that you're in, or do you see the other lanes that you can explore while you're there? Because
mhm,
there's still
mhm.
joy from your partner, there's still time and intimacy. And I think it's important to grow with people in intimacy and see all aspects of that intimacy, and it shouldn't just stop there.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you so much, DP. I love you too. Um, Fantastic point, though, bro. Fantastic point. Like you've been hitting on all eight cylinders in here. Okay, I've had an experience, lady. Okay, just so y'all know, I have had the Juice Jones experience, and I ain't had to take my clothes off.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, so you again tell everybody where they can find you
Hmm.
and where they can tap in to your content and
Okay.
just give us a positive word on the way out just for mental health and sex in general. Just
Okay.
take us out on a high note.
I got you. If you guys are looking for me, you could find me on Instagram under Juice Jones, JUIC, the number three Jones. Juice Jones creates on YouTube. That's where I house most of the content that we have been working on this year. This year, I've stepped back from being in front of the camera, and I wanted to give my platform more to folks who I see making a difference in the community. I want people to
Mhm,
talk about the importance of autism, ADHD, depression,
mhm,
anxiety, suicidal
mhm,
ideations. Right now, we've been working on creating a space for the professionals in terms of therapists and in terms of the wellness community and the community itself in terms of the people that are really going through it because
mhm.
these stories need to be shared. And I want people to understand they're not in this fight and experience by themselves. So
Yes.
if you're looking for a lot of the broader content that we have and people's personal experience and with this life itself when it comes to mental health and wellness. Juice Jones creates on YouTube. And also the main page that we house a lot of our mental health content on Instagram is Get Home Safe Hugem, HUGEM at the end. And when it comes to mental health, I think there's an awareness that we lack, and that's okay. We're not here
Mhm,
to
mhm,
make people feel guilty for not having the education.
mhm,
We are an entire community. When I
mhm,
was younger, my mom made me work in the hospital that she raised me at, East Orange General, and I was a patient advocate all throughout high school. In terms of patient advocacy, I always learned the importance of speaking up for people who can't speak for themselves and how important those aspects of their lives are. And I came to realize that there's going to be something we don't know, and it's very important that people who do know and understand speak
mhm,
for us and lead with
mhm,
love. And
mhm,
also, it's okay to make mistakes. We're not
mhm,
here to know everything, but we do have a responsibility that when we do come across something that is associated with us or adjacent to us or our friends or our family, that we either get educated or we give ourselves a chance to learn. And that's just as important as this life that's in front of us now.
Yeah, most definitely. Most definitely. So, you guys make sure that you chime in, tap in. You know what, though? I don't know if you know the comedian in DC, Ashley Mayo. She's also a mental health advocate, especially for comedians, because a lot of comedians have tons of mental health issues. It's unfortunate, but
Mm-hmm.
it's part of what makes us funny as hell. Um, but she's a fantastic person for you to connect with.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just and build, and would be great to be on there. I'm gonna do my best to
I
make that
got you. No, I'm
connection.
looking forward to
Like,
connecting. For DP though, it's a get home safe hug 'em. So you just have to add a safe in between it. We'll get home safe
yep,
hug
get
'em,
home
and then you
safe.
can just find it right
Hustle.
there. Yeah. Also, if you find my personal IG, I also have the link to Get Home Safe inside of my bio and a link to the
Mhm,
website that leads you to the YouTube also.
mhm. Yes, yes. Get home safe. Hug them.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you guys. So, I look forward to bringing you back on again. I'm not going to
I'm
wait
looking
for
forward to
next
bringing you on my side. I just
for
want to
the
hear
next
you talk,
mental
just
health
chat that chat.
month.
Yeah.
Um, because again, it's so many things I feel like we could uncover, we can talk
Mm-hmm.
about. Um, on DP is an author also. She has the book The Gray Area
Mm-hmm.
on mental health, you guys. So she does touch on that as well. So again, I can't wait to kind of have this conversation again and really, really dig in.
Mm-hmm. I'm
Yeah,
looking forward to it. Thank you
I'm
for the
looking forward
opportunity. I
to it.
really
Yeah.
appreciate you, by the way. Thank you so much.
Oh no, yeah. You were the right man for the job, brother. You're the right man for the job. So you guys, I will be back next week. And look, I'm gonna be proactive and tell y'all who we doing sex toys next week, you guys.
Oh,
We
that's
doing
fun.
sex
That is fun.
toys.
Yes, all the
Yeah.
toys. Let's go, toys.
And if you're in the DMV, ladies, especially my plus size sisters, if y'all
Mm.
don't follow him, y'all need to follow him now. The Naked Trumpeter will be in the building. We're going to be talking about kink. We're gonna be talking about sex toys. We're gonna have a
Mm-hmm.
whole lot of fun, a little show and tell. We're gonna have a
Mm-hmm.
whole lot of fun. So you all make sure you tune in, chime in. I will be right back here next week. I see you then. Bye bye.